Welcome back. So let's start off with the first one, that is the Cisco ASA, which is the traditional firewall. Now, Cisco ASA is a traditional firewall and which only provides you with the layer 4 security. As you know that nowadays all the firewalls provide the layer 7 technology. But in order to utilize that layer 7 what do we say? Security, we can go ahead with the Cisco ASA with firepower services. Basically, the same ASA you are going to install another service known as a firepower on top of that one. So basically that will change to the next generation firewall. So once you install that services on that one, it will become a next generation firewall. Alternatively, you can say that this is Cisco FTD. So that similarly, it will resemble into that services. And after that, you can go ahead and you can configure the layer 7 security on that one. But with the traditional firewall, it will only provide you until the layer 4 security. Now coming to the device, how does it looks like? So this is how it looks like. Maybe in the nowadays it might have changed. They might have changed the face of the firewall, but usually this is the racks, 1U rack, where you will see in front of that all the lights and all the options and everything. But basically this is how it will look. And at the back end, you will have 8 ports. So at the back end, you will have the 8 ports and you will have one console port and you will have one management port. You will have 2 USB ports. Now these 8 ports will act as a data ports, and you can configure anything. And this is for the management, and this is for the console. These are the different ports which you will be having at the back, and you will be having one PSUs, power supply, one of the fans at the back end of the firewall. So this is the enterprise level grade firewall. Basically, you do have the 5505 models, which are, I think they have stopped now. But the enterprise grade models are 5512X model, 5515X model, 5555X model, and 5525X model, and 5585X model. So wherever there is an X, those are enterprise grade firewalls. These are the different models of the firewalls which were available. Hopefully, I think Cisco might have reduced the traditional firewall models now. They can only now provide you with the Cisco 5515 and maybe the Cisco 5585 model only. But still, you can get all of these models and you can purchase all of these models. Now coming to the firewalls, now with this firewall, you will have the security zone in that one. So basically when you have these ports, for example, 1, 2, 3, and 4 ports. So I'm considering this port as a inside port. So whenever I say that assign the name as inside for this particular interface, it will automatically assign the security zone level of 100. And apart from that, any name, if I say, for example, this one is a DMZ or this one is the outside, just if I assign any zone, any interface with these, any of those names except the inside, the security zone will become 0. And yes, you do have an option to increase the security level. For example, I can make the security level of DMZ as 50 and outside as default 0. Now, by default, not any two zones can communicate with each other. By default, all the zones, all the interfaces are not able to communicate with each other. And for example, I do have one more, I call it as an inside one name, which will also be a 0. But what I can do is that I can assign the security level of 100 over here and 100 over here, 50 over here, and 0. So now by default, even if it is the same security level, still you are not able to communicate. In order to allow the traffic within the same security level, you have to enable that option over there. Now, also with the different security zone, that is with respect to the inside and the outside inside and the DMZ, in order to allow the traffic by default from the higher security level to the lower security level, the traffic can pass. So TCP traffic can be allowed by default. But from the 50 to 0 also is allowed. But from 0 to 100 or 0 to 50 is not allowed. From 50 to 100 is not allowed. From the higher security level to the lower security level, traffic is allowed. From the lower security level to the higher security level, traffic is not allowed. This is what you have to keep in mind. All right, so now coming to that one, now as we see that the interfaces, we are creating the security zone and the traffic is being not allowed. In order to allow the traffic, that's where we will use the ACLs. Now, most of the time, the ACLs which we use in the ASAs is the external ACLs. So these are the normal ACLs which we can assign the name and everything. And by default, you can also assign and numbers also. So numbers or names, you can use the extended ACLs. All right, so now coming to the Ether type ACL, so basically, if you remember that on the routers, we do have a loopbacks, and the switches, we do have a SVIs, virtual interfaces. So basically, in the ASA, you do have something called as a bridge interface. So if you create the bridge interface, then that's where the Ether type ACLs comes into play. Now, web type ACL, that is only specifically used for the SSL VPN. So whenever you create the SSL VPN, that's when you will utilize this web type ACL. And the standard ACL, mostly you will be using with the AnyConnect VPN. All right. So these are the different types of ACLs, but mostly we are going to use only the external extended ACLs only in order to configure our routers. So these two, we will look into that one when we come across the SSL VPN and the AnyConnect VPN. All right, so let's go ahead and do the lab. So what I will do is that I will create a separate video for the lab. So I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.